Hello everyone. Alright, so today we are going to continue our wall insulation. I did a little bit yesterday and the day before, which is what you can see right here. So what we did was we ended up gluing down the thin slate to the van, and then we took some XPS foam board and glued it to the thin slate. And I cut a hole here in the center to allow it to breathe a little bit. If there's ever any moisture that gets back there, we want it to not get trapped. We want it to be able to breathe and evaporate. So that's kind of these are the layers we're going to do today. Thinsulate, and then XPS foam board. And then on top of that, around the edges and stuff, we're going to have Easy Cool. We probably won't install that today because it requires bolting and finishing up these cross nuts and stuff. I'm probably going to remove the power line here as well. Once we're done with the wall, we'll actually be installing sheets of like a 1/4 inch sheet of wood here, and that'll act as the kind of initial layer for the wall. And then we'll do the layout for the floor. We have to do the walls first because it's going to take up a little bit of room on the floor. So I don't want to cut exactly what I need when I gotta do a little bit less right now, or after we install the wall. And then we're going to do insulation on the ceiling. But before we do insulation on the ceiling, we need to install some 80/20 right here, right in these tracks, actually on the track right here. And on top, so on the top is going to be L-track aluminum, and that'll allow me to tie things down to the roof if I have to. And then there'll be the sheet metal, and then there'll be 80/20, and I got special bolts to tie all those together. And the reason I want to do that is then I can then attach the ceiling to the 80/20 here, and by doing that, that'll allow me to have like a really nice, even and secure, really strong ceiling. And that's what I'm looking for, is like a nice strong ceiling. I don't want I want to be able to hang things from it. I want to be able to imagine I could put some weight on it if I want to. And so this flat platform will allow us to do that using the 80/20 full attached to the roof and stuff. Some people use the cross nuts, and we'll probably use those as well. There doesn't look like to be too many of them up here, so I think the 80/20, which will ride along here, and 80/20 that'll ride along here, and then the cross nuts in the center is a good combo to have the roof. So, all right. So right now I'm going to bring in the Thinsulate. And so my biggest issue with Thinsulate has been how difficult it is to cut. I was gonna just go ahead and it's not particularly difficult, but if you don't have a good pair of scissors, you're really cranking on those scissors, and so you don't get the straightest edges. It's not the cleanest looking, and that's been bothering me. So today I went ahead and took my dad had a pair of like garden shears, like to trim hedges and bushes. So I just took it and tried to cut a piece, and it cut it perfectly. So they're like this big. It's funny. So I'll probably be chopping away at the Thinsulate with that today. And I think since it's so easy to cut now, doing these big sections and doing the small sections and everything should be a lot easier. We're gonna probably like duplicate what we did here on this wall, with the exception of we're not filling in this window or that window. So I guess not really duplicate, but we'll make some. We'll do some Thinsulate here, and then we'll do rigid foam board here as well, and we'll finish the rigid foam board up along here. I have one more sheet of half inch XPS foam board, which is I think 8 feet, something like that. So we'll install that here and across. And then I think I have a bunch of smaller foam board sections that we'll install and put in here. The reason people sometimes don't use XPS is it has a maximum temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the temperature which, when it's really hot out during the summer, the metal, like you put this right up against the metal, it has potential to get that hot. So what we've done is we want to put the foam board on the outside of the Thinsulate, and the Thinsulate will never get to 160, so thus it won't melt the XPS. And then we'll add Easy Cool. What we don't, the one other thing we're trying to avoid is thermal bridging. which is essentially that if it's cold on the outside and hot on the inside, and you don't want to lose that heat, what will happen is how the cold will conduct through. It's not cold. The lack of heat will conduct through the metal. And so if you have a piece of aluminum attached directly to metal, it will conduct through that aluminum, all the way through that aluminum, and that will actually radiate, or you'll lose heat to that piece of aluminum. So you can't have bare metal showing. Also, if you have, that's also how you can air or water vapor will condense on that as well. And so we don't want that either. So what we're going to do is, when we do the 80-20 and everything, this entire area here will be covered by wood. At least just a 1/4 inch piece of plywood essentially. And then we'll add the decorative ceiling to that. I'll probably paint the 1/4 inch white or something. I still am thinking on colors. And then that'll give us a really nice foundation for a room. So yeah, I also need to add insulation under this headboard here. I need to read some instructions on how to properly uninstall it, because I don't want to break it. But you can shove some Thinsulate down in there and cover this as well. Insulating this whole area, which is the front driving area, is a pain because there's like all these windows, and the windows are difficult. Something to counter that, I think we're going to do like a big curtain here, but I'm still working on that. I haven't really done too much in the ways of researching that or thinking about that too much. So that's the plan for today. I'm going to go grab the Thinsulate, go grab those big shears, grab a marker. I don't have one in here. Nope. Grab a Sharpie and a tape measure so I can measure out what I need to cut, and then we'll get going. All right, I'll be right back. This is the Thinsulate, and these are the shears we're going to use to cut it with. We tried scissors, and the scissors don't really work well. So I did this morning, cut it perfectly. So you can get a better idea of what that XPS looks like. Here's a sheet of the foam board. It's pretty thin, simple. Has an R value of 3 at 1/2 inch. The Thinsulate, I think it's slightly below that, either at 2.5 or maybe it's 3 too, at 1 inch, I think. So this is definitely better insulation than in terms of like R value density, but the Thinsulate's easy to work with. This is a little bit more rigid, and it melts at 160 degrees. I think it says it on here actually. Oh, okay. The R value is set for 75. It changes according to the temperature and stuff too. All right. See this edge that was cut with scissors. It's not the ideal. Hang on. I realized that headrest was in the way earlier. So I have 2 of these. This is one of them. I used probably half of this one already to do this side so far. I have 1 more for the other side and for the ceiling, so 2 total. But so I have to be careful about not overusing this because it is still I still have a lot to do, particularly on the ceiling. That's a full sheet by, yeah, it's going to take up a fair bit of insulate, so gotta be careful. I'm gonna finish off the top while we're here. So the top is about 13 inches. Yeah, 13 inches tall. It's just first section. By 59 inches wide. Yeah. So 13 tall, 59 wide. Let's see how wide is this? Perfect. Width-wise, perfect. So 13 tall. Set it right there. And when you're drawing this stuff, it gets everywhere. Hang on, there's someone here. I'll be right back. Hi. So we're in the south. I don't know if you can see it out the window, but we're in the south. So we're in the south here in Georgia. And so occasionally you get people that come around and ask you how religious you are and tell you what the Bible has to say and give you a little bit of a lesson. Woohoo. Anyway, they were nice older ladies and stuff, so I don't know. Are they just walking around? I don't know where they're with. Oh yeah, they're just walking around. So, all right, back to our normally scheduled program. They weren't too bad. They didn't harass too much, which is good. Well, not harass, but they didn't. They let me. They just said their thing. So like I said, we're going to take these shears and we're going to cut this line here. This is the first time using shears to do this, so. Already I can tell you it is a lot easier. Careful about keeping it straight because the shears are kind of tilted. Oh, perfect. That was so much easier with the shears than it was with the scissors. Created a much nicer line too. It's great. You can see the difference. Scissors, shears. So much nicer. Tried box cutter, it doesn't work. Tried there's really, you need a pair of scissors or shears. All right, let's see here. Awesome, that is perfect. I'm going to do all the spraying at the end. Yesterday I did spraying while we were doing it, and it was fine, but I think it'll be easier if I just spray all at the end today. overlapped a little bit and left a little bit of a gap. Which is perfect for this square. Way back there. Ooh, this can just be one large sheet. Nice. Alright, let's measure that. This might do 59 again. Looks great. So you can see, we just did. You can see how it's kind of filled in. The whole wall now is filled in, which is great. So we're going to add some adhesive behind the wall now. We're add some adhesive. So that 3M90 spray right there is going to get sprayed behind all of this. As best we can. This one's in there pretty good, but the rest of these are still kind of loose. So I am waiting till the end to do it yet today, as opposed to yesterday when I was just doing it just whenever, because it requires like a breathing mask. You really don't want to inhale that stuff. It's not fun. Sorry, get the angle back here. All right, so time to glue that adhesive down. Leveling this is a pain. Okay. Last adjustment. There we go. Good. So yeah, we want to take this stuff. It creates a sticky adhesive, and we're going to glue all this down. like the odor to it though. Good. This is really in there, but I think I'm still gonna spray it as best as I can. But it is really in there. Perfect. Now that's done. All right, so now we have this insulate out. I would probably stop and do the panels now for all these. It's hot, but we have the thin slate out and it's working really well right now. So I still have this panel down here to do. So I'm going to do that side, and I should really. There's a bunch of space in here as well, and down this bar here. So I'm going to try and fill these with thin slate as much as possible. To be honest though, what I've read is that the air gap here, the gap in the air here, it's like when you put thin slate inside here, since there's so much metal around it, there's more there's more loss of heat due to the metal than there is due to the thin slate, than the air gap that's in there. So like adding insulation inside of like a metal tube isn't going to keep the other side of the metal tube any cooler or much cooler, really any cooler, because it's just going to conduct right through it. So, you know, it's how effective is it going to be? Probably not too effective, but cool. So this section is 46 wide. 15. Start at 15 high. 46 wide, 15 high. Wide. And then it is 5 more. Makes your felt marker all nasty. Cut it across that way. Nasty. sitting like that hurts. Nice. Highly recommend Thinsulate. It's just easy. Now I'm just looking for cracks, gaps, areas that are not insulated at all. Good. There's like a big area right here that you can fit, like just beyond the metal, that you can fit like a piece about this size into. And you just gotta keep pushing it. So that's what we're gonna do. Alright, so just as an estimation for how much we have left, I'm going to unroll this whole thing and see if I have enough to cover the roof. And I do. I definitely have enough to cover the roof. I have enough to cover the ceiling. I have another one, a whole one in there. So I definitely have enough to do the rest of the van, which is really good news. In fact, I'll probably make it nice and toasty because I'll just keep layering this until I fill in all the cavities. Less about it here, I care more about it here. This is where actually cared most about it here. Because, like, kitchen's going to be here, shower, like drawers and closet, like drawer space. So I can insulate the drawers a second time if I really needed to. But this kitchen's going to be, this spot's open for the most part, so. Oh yeah, there's a whole cavity. Huh. There's actually a cavity right here that you can see these holes. This whole thing fills up. So, all right, next goal is going to be the bottom here and the top. So this time what I'm going to do is make it really easy on myself and just cut 2 long. These are about the same length, at least starting here. They're the same length. Yeah, and so I'll just cut 2, depending on how high they are, long-wise. I'm just assessing right now. I don't want to rush through anything. Making sure everything looks okay. I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Alright, so now tape measure. To 97 inches. Okay, 97 inches is here. Make sure. Yep. This is 97. And then how tall for each? First one. 13 inches. 13 inches. The second one is a little bit higher. So 26 inches. You want to put it from there. 26. Beautiful. 26. This is bottom. This is top. And then, just for giggles and grins here, how wide is this? This is 17, 16 inches. That is enough. Yeah, we'll just do a strip of 16 too. we'll have a strip of like 12, 23, and 16. I'll cut around the window. That sounds right. Once again, 13. So I'll put a marker here. 13. And then 13 to 26, 26. 6. And then another 16, right? 16, yep, 16. Close enough. Good. Let me see. That looks pretty straight. Good. And the last one, just really tall. Start with this one here. That looks awesome. So that's our top sheet. Two over. Perfect. Perfect. Hey,
Hey,
you coming out?
I know you like me sitting out here.
Alright guys, you get the idea.
Huh?
Just more insulation and we'll just put it up there. Alright, till next time.